All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Rise Urban Nation. I got my sis from another mister, and she's in here. She's about to tell us how we win, no matter what. Miss Daphne Jones, how are you doing today?
I am doing a fantastic and amazing. I woke up on this side of the ground, and for that, I am thankful. So I'm good.
All right, I'm glad to hear that. Now, where you joining us from? Because I know you like to be up and down on the East Coast, and I know you from upper state where I was born. But I have never know. I never know where you at in any time frame. You could be out
I know.
on the bottom half of the East Coast or the top half of the East Coast.
Right. And yesterday I was in Atlanta for a couple of
Oh, you was
days.
in
So
ATL.
I
What you
was in
doing in ATL?
ATL for a couple of days. Yeah, I had family stuff that we were doing, and then I got back here. So where am I right now? I'm upstate New York. I got in from Atlanta yesterday. So
Oh,
and
okay.
then I'll be here for a couple of weeks, and then I'm going to head to Amsterdam. I'm doing some international modeling at Africa Fashion Week in Amsterdam, but I'm going to
Okay.
be staying put a little while for at least 2 more weeks. Then I head to Europe.
All right, I love it. I love it. Look at this. You just international. You just a world traveler. I
I
I
just
can't
want to
keep
find
up
a
with
way
you
to
no
win.
more.
I just want to find a way to win. So
There you go.
that's what
And
it's
we're gonna get into the book and all, and help other people find that mindset to win. However, I want to start off with this question. This is a question I
yeah.
start off with everybody, and I know it's deep, but I want you to take it wherever you want to take it to. For somebody who has not met you, if they're listening to this right now, who is Daphne Jones?
Hmm. Daphne Jones is a child of God
Mm,
who tries to learn, and as I learn, I also teach.
mm,
So the essence of me is to be that person who says, at the end of the day, I want everybody who is behind me to find an ability to become who they want to be and to define their win faster than I did, easier than I did,
mm.
go higher than I did. And so I want to act like Harriet Tubman. She's hanging up in my office, in my house here. And there's a picture of her like this, where in her left under her left arm is a
Mhm.
shotgun, and she's holding a lantern in her left hand, and she's going that way, which I assume must be north. And
That.
so as she's going that way, she's pushing forward into dangerous areas. She's learning, she's discovering new directions and all that, but learning. And in the other hand, she is pulling the enslaved people along with her. And that's what this
Mm,
picture shows, is the
mhm,
enslaved. Some are falling down, some are holding her hand, some are holding the other people's hand behind her and all that. But she's doing what I call the push and pull method. And that's sort of what I
mhm,
say Daphne is. I push, and I'll push
mhm,
you, I'll push myself, I'll push
mhm,
myself into new areas. But at the same time, my goal is to pull. So that's the essence of me. I'm a mother, I'm a
mhm,
grandmother, I'm a pastor's wife,
mhm,
I'm a scuba diver. I'm a boxer. I'm an author. I'm a senior executive for Fortune
mhm,
50 companies. I'm a member of boards. I'm a
mhm.
CEO of a startup company. Those are some of the things that I do, but who I am as a child of God who seeks to push and to pull.
Nah, and all that is just beautifully blended into making the unique individual you are. Every time you say this, I know you're a grandmother, but every time I don't know what's in the water of the black women
Yeah,
that's in that
yeah.
that's in those 70s, the 80s babies, but yeah,
Well,
y'all
not
out here
quite
looking
there.
younger than everybody.
Yeah, yeah, right, right. Thank you. I'm blessed. And, I always tell my husband, Reverend Jones, that I'm a little girl doing grown up things. And I think if you have the mindset, everything that we do, and everything that how we respond. We can't control what happens to us, but we
Uh-huh.
can control how we approach things and respond to things and think about things. And I think that part of my behavior and my mindset rather about being a little girl, I try to not take things too seriously to have them weigh me
Mm-hmm.
down. And with
Mm-hmm.
that, but of course I try to eat well and I work out 5-6 times a week. But I think that's thinking like a child, where
Mm-hmm.
everything is possible.
Mm-hmm.
You learn as you go, and your preconceived notions are left on the shelf somewhere. Somehow that just helps me to, I think, be younger. That's what I
Mm.
think.
I love that, and I think that attributes to a mindset, which I'm pretty sure is probably in the book. So let's jump into the book. Uh, put the book so the people can see it, and
Mm.
the people who get in the video podcast, show the book. Tell us about this book. How did this book come to be? And how'd you put the essence of you in this book? First, give them the title of the book. When they say you won't.
That's right. When they say you won't. And the title came from, what happened to me. Gandhi says,
Mm-hmm.
first they ignore you,
Yeah.
then they laugh at you,
Mm.
then they fight you, and
Mm-hmm.
then you win. And so in Gandhi's uh, quote there's a they out there, and
Mm-hmm.
then they stop you from winning. And sometimes that they is you, that they are, I hear a doctor decapitated a black baby the other day in Atlanta. So it's
Mm.
healthcare. They don't care for us as they may care for themselves. They is the law structure and system in this country. They is the
Mm-hmm.
education system. They can be your boss. They can be your neighbor who is really upset that you can afford to live next to them. They can
Mm.
be ourselves. They can be you. So anybody that tells you that you cannot do it, the reason do whatever you want to do, this book was written for them. And I started with my high school counselor. My mother and
Mm-hmm.
father were Jamaican immigrants, and they came to this country so that their kids, could grab the brass ring and have a better life than they did.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, they instilled education in us. And they said, whoever has your mind has you. And whatever whoever you hang with is who you are. And so they, focused us on thinking about education and reading and all that, to the point where I
Mm-hmm.
skipped first grade. And after I skipped first grade, I still climbed into the different grades and got to high school. And my high school counselor told me, Daphne, college is not for you. You're a black girl. Black girls
Mm.
they don't get into college. If they do get in, they won't graduate. And they do happen to graduate, no one's going to hire them or hire you. And I didn't
Yeah.
understand why would nobody would hire me, because it just didn't make any sense. And I finally realized that as a black woman, nobody saw this face, or nobody would see this face, in his opinion, as somebody who could own $100 million budget like I have done,
Mm.
or who could be the CEO of a startup like I am. They look at this face and say, you know what? She could take care of my children really well. She can, cook my dinner and cook my meals, but can she really be an executive in corporate America? She's not a Carnegie or a Ford or a
Mm-hmm.
Dodge or DuPont or what have you. So that's what he said. So I listened to him, went to become a secretary at Women's Day magazine, and I was a secretary for just like all of maybe 60 days or something. It was
Yeah.
crazy. I took shorthand, I took typing. And then I realized that I was lousy at this. This could not be my job. This could not be my future. So I decided that I wouldn't be a secretary. I would have a secretary. And it was at that moment that I went on and said, the only thing that I need to do that these guys that are bossing me around have is they have a degree and I don't. So I went to college, got my degree, got my bachelor's degree in 3 years instead of 4, got my MBA in 1 year instead of 2, and I skipped overall 3 years of school in my life. And it might have been the fact that this guy was whispering in my ear, you're never going to make it, you're not good enough. But the word for my life was no
Mm-hmm.
longer impossible, which is what he said it was. The word for my life is always inevitable. You may not get what you want
Mm.
right now, but it's just a matter of time. If you want it and you go
Mm-hmm.
after it, you will be able to win when they say you won't. and that's just a
Mm.
matter of inevitability. They said there would never be, nobody could ever run the mile in under 4 minutes. Well, people can do that now. They run
Yeah.
it now in 3 minutes and 40 some seconds. They said there
Mhm.
would never be a Black Supreme Court female justice. Well, don't look now, but we have one. And so it wasn't impossible, it was just a matter of time. So that
Yeah,
was sort
just
of how the book came about. And it's for me to teach other people what's my methodology to get to the top of. I got to the top of corporate America, and I
mhm.
stayed there. I didn't bounce back and forth. I stayed at the top of corporate America. And whatever it is that you want to do, what do you want to do? Well, how do you get to the top of that and stay there and do what you want to do? That's what my book covers in my 4-part methodology. I have a 4-part methodology that we go through in here, in addition to
Mhm.
my stories about all kinds of things that happened to me along the way and to other
Man,
women along the way.
that's so beautiful. Like so many gems in there. Some of y'all may have missed some. Y'all might have to rewind this episode back to catch all of them. Like I love that mindset shift from not thinking about the impossible, right? But like even the word itself, impossible. If you break that down, it says I'm
I'm possible.
possible, right?
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
possible. So and it took that mindset shift for people to break that 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 um that milestone of running the fastest mile, because I think everybody had a blockage that this is the fastest, nobody can go past that, right?
Right,
uh
right.
and,
And
and that's
age is no limit. I'm going to be doing
Mhm.
international modeling for seniors in Amsterdam, and just on August 30th. and
Mhm.
and somebody would say, "Girl, you too old for that." Well, okay, all they can do is tell me no. So I auditioned, and there I am.
Mhm.
And so you're right. It's I'm possible. If you say
Mhm.
it, then you're possible. You may not get
Mhm.
it. It's not a matter of whether you'll get it. It's just a matter of when. It's a matter of the
Yeah.
inevitability of it all. But you'll get what you put smart goals in place to achieve.
Yeah. One thing I did notice too, that yeah, that immigrant parent, like, because my parent, my dad is Nigerian. You
Mm,
got Jamaican parents, and
yeah.
they're really big on the education, and
Oh
they
yeah.
I feel like they have a different mindset. Shout out to all my Jamaicans out there. My
Yes.
Jamaican auntie that used to live down the streets, that
And what go on,
give me spice.
everybody? I mean,
Yeah, give me spice bun and
come
cheese, some
on.
curry goats, some rice and peas. Had me eating real good,
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. That's all
um,
right. Much
yeah.
love.
So, do you attribute some of that winning mindset to the foundation that comes from that your heritage?
I absolutely do, but it where you have come from doesn't dictate where you're going.
Mhm.
There's a lot of crazy Jamaicans who haven't done a thing.
Yes.
And just like there's a lot of amazing Africans, Americans, and Africans, Black Americans, who have done amazing things, and they're not
Mhm.
from Jamaica. And so I think it's really a mindset. And
Mhm.
there are people who grew up in broken homes who are now lawyers and judges and doctors and administrators and Olympic Simone Biles. She was adopted and raised in a house with, I think, alcoholics or something. So where you're
Mhm.
coming from does not have anything to do with where you're going. Where you're
Mhm.
going is, in my opinion, determined by your will set, your mindset, your tool set, and then you'll have the skill set. So if you have a will to win, an open will, it's not shut down. If you have a growth mindset and you say, I haven't done it all, I haven't
Mhm.
seen it all, I can do more, I can be more. My age doesn't limit me. I don't limit
Mhm.
me. Nothing can limit me. That mindset. And then if you get the tools, whether it be education, whether it be uh, books that you have to read or experiments that you run or whatever the tool sets are, then when you use those tools, you will then have a skill set for life that you'll always be
Mhm.
able to win over and over again. So I say yes. My mom was very proud of her British heritage, and
Mhm.
and because a lot of things were invented in Britain,
Yeah.
polo and soccer and yachting. A lot of stuff was created, so she was very proud of that. But
Mhm.
it doesn't stop there. It doesn't have to start there either.
Yeah. So now you said there's a 4-step process to this thing, to this
This
winning
thing.
mindset. I need to know. I got break it down for me. I know we can't discuss everything that's in the book in a short podcast, but at least give me the framework. So let's start with the number one. What's the first part of this journey as we go to talk about this?
The first part is I got to tell you the whole name.
All right, okay, go ahead.
The name of the framework is called EDIT.
Edit.
EDIT. And
Okay.
edit has two implications for me or us in this book. The first
Mhm.
implication is edit means change. Whenever you wrote a
Mhm.
book, whenever you write a book like this, you have an editor who makes
Mhm.
changes, who suggests things, who moves things around, who makes sure that this book is going to be sellable and it's going to make sense. So
Mhm.
the other part of edit is that with edit, then you can change your life, change your mindset. And if you change your mindset, you'll change what you do and how you
Mhm.
behave. And if you change how you behave, you'll change outcomes. So if you act one way, you get outcomes. If you act a different way, you get different outcomes. So edit
Mhm.
stands for envision, design, iterate, and transform. Those are the four
Mhm.
steps. And I got the four steps from Taryell from what programmers. I used to be a programmer back in the day at IBM, and the way
Mhm.
I got the four steps was we had steps also to create apps, and we called them
Mhm.
applications back in the day. We know them today as apps. Your dating
Yeah.
app, your GPS app, your Uber app, whatever the app is. There's a way and a method and a cycle that we went through to create those. You think of I want to create a way for people to know where they are at all times. Okay, then
Mm.
you envision that. Then you design the app called GPS or whatever the GPS app is. You design it and then you develop it and then you iterate
Mhm.
through it. You make it work. It may fail the first time. After the second or third iteration using agile technologies, all of a
Mhm.
sudden the app works and now you've transformed people's lives and you've transformed from not having a GPS app to having
Yeah.
one. And so it's a
Mhm.
cycle that programmers went through. You envision the app, you design it, you iterate, and you transform it, or you generate it and you maintain it. So I said to myself, if apps can be generated and maintained and improved, just like the iPhone is at version 16 right now. It didn't
Yeah.
start at iOS was at 1. So if
Mhm.
iOS can go from version 1 to version 2 to version 3 to where it is now at 16, why can't we go from version 1 of ourselves? And so
Mm.
the concept is that you level up, you envision a goal, you
Mhm.
design your approach, including who you need to help you. You design what could go wrong into that goal because nothing in life is perfect and life happens.
Mhm.
So you design that plan, then you work the plan, right? Because when you just have a vision without an action plan is just a dream. Then you take that
Mm.
dream and that design and now you execute it, and then you
Mhm.
execute it knowing that things will still go wrong that you didn't know about. And so you
Mhm.
execute, and that's your iterate. You iterate, you go over and over again. You get feedback from your market, you get feedback from your boss, you get feedback from your family. Depends on what you're trying to do. Learn how to swim, you get feedback from your swimming coach. If you're learning how to be a better mother, you get feedback from your children. But whatever you do, you take that feedback and you don't take it personally, you take it strategically, and you put that data back into your plan of how you were trying to get promoted or be a better swimmer or a public speaker. And then you take that and you iterate and you get better and you get better. And next thing you know, you're transformed into a public speaker or you've transformed
Mm.
into being a vice president. So that's what the four-step process is. And then when you're done with that transform, you say to yourself, what else can I do? I just learned how to swim. I know I'm going to envision. So you go back to the E and you say, I'm going to envision being a lifeguard. Okay, that requires better swimming skills than just learning how to, swim laps.
Mhm.
I need to learn how to be a lifeguard. Well, then you go through the process of designing your plan for how you're going to be a lifeguard, going through the steps and the testing of being a lifeguard. Next thing you know, you're transformed into being a lifeguard. So the edit process works for anything that you want to do that you want to
Mhm.
level up in. That's kind of
Mhm.
how it goes.
I love it. I love it. In the short time we've been on, like I was thinking, like I was like, man, I wonder what version of her she's on because in the short time we've been on, she mentioned like 3 or 4 different careers and hats that she and roles that she done had.
I'm
And,
at
and
version
so
I'm at version 6.5.
6.5. How many times have you reinvented yourself in life? What's the process that you? I mean, I know this is some of the framework, but I'm curious. When do you know it's time for the new
Yeah.
version? Like, how do you self assess or test? Like, what's the formula to that?
Yeah, I think when you are comfortable in your skin, that it's time to change.
Mhm,
Your skin needs to start feeling too small, like a snake uh, outgrows its skin, and it's like, skin, I'm sorry, you need to go. So it rubs itself
mhm,
against the rock or whatever it does, and it outgrows it, and it gets bigger and bigger. So when you are comfortable in what you're doing, you're not doing enough. When you set
mhm,
goals that are easy to reach, they're not high enough. And
mhm,
so I just realized that, for instance, when you go from being a student to being somebody who's working in corporate America, that's a new version of yourself. And
yeah.
you learn all you can, you earn all you can, and you return all you can. Those are the three phases of life. So when you're learning, you're never done learning, but there's a point when 90% of what you do, you're in school. You may have a little side job, or you may come home and help your mom with the kids or whatever, but 90% you're learning. And then when you
Mhm,
switch and go into earning, that 90% you're learning, or earning rather, or maybe 80%. And then there's a
mhm,
time when you're returning. And so when you're learning, you are just sucking up information as much as you can. You should always be in that learning mode, even while
mhm,
you're earning your money. So I realized that when I went from being a student to being an earner, that was my first level. Then when I
mhm,
became from a basic level to a vice president, that was another level. And then when I
mhm,
became a senior vice president, that was a whole other level altogether, and corporate officer. I then said, okay, now I'm going to retire. I'm 65. What am I going to do now? I know I'm going to become a board member, because that's how I'm going to be able to push and pull. I'm going to push the
mhm,
management team into having diverse leaders in their company. I'm going to push the management team onto focusing on environmental issues. I'm going to push
mhm,
the management team on how to drive and use technology and digital in a very effective and good way for the marketplace. So becoming a board member became my version 4, right? Which is
mhm.
very different than being a senior vice president. And then when I wrote a book, I became an author, right? And then that was version 5. And then now that I am a CEO of a startup company, I wasn't a CEO before. I am now a CEO. So that's version 6. That's right.
I love it. I love it. I mean, you about to have so many young men and women fired up from just sharing your story in this book and so
Yes.
forth.
Thank you.
And
Y'all
and I
can,
and I
y'all can
love
do
it.
it. All it
Yeah,
is
yeah.
a mindset. Just say, I can. And, as the word says, get thee behind me, Satan. All the people that try to come at you, that
Mm,
tell you, just because somebody's in your circle doesn't mean they're in
mhm,
your corner, y'all. And so, and you think about who's in your corner, and I like to box, right? I'm an amateur boxer.
mhm,
And when the bell rings and I go into my corner, who do I want to see there? I want to see somebody in my corner that wants me to win, number one, that knows how to win, right? And has won before, who will tell me that my strategy is good, or
mhm,
like Daphne, she's kicking your butt. You on the ropes all the time. She's hitting your stomach. You need to defend yourselves at all time. You need somebody
mhm,
who is in your corner that will tell you the strategy is either working or not. And then you need a cut man in your corner, somebody who's, when you
mhm,
do get cut, who will help you, heal that wound, so you can go back out there into the world, go back out there into the marketplace, go back out there into the ring, and fight
mhm,
another 2 or 3 minutes. And so you got to know that you have to have the right people in your corner. Turkeys hang with turkeys, tigers hang with tigers. If you a
mm,
turkey and you try to hang
mm,
with the tiger, it won't last very long, right? So know
mhm,
that you're a tiger, and find other tigers around you to be in your corner, rooting for you, showing you how to be a tiger, and get a
Yeah.
tiger who's been a tiger. Talk about OG, get an OG tiger, somebody
Right.
that's been there, done that, right? So don't get me
Right.
started. Y'all can do it. Trust me.
Oh,
This face, this gender, y'all can do
right. Yo, you about to be a rapper or a preacher in the next life. I don't know what it's gonna be.
it. Version 7.
Virgin 7. Like I'm over here thinking, yo, she just said she an amateur boxer. Daphne, when you got time to do amateur boxing? Like, jeez.
Yeah,
that's
yeah. I
that's
have
how
a
I know you Jamaican. You got
3 or 4
5 jobs,
jobs.
man.
Yeah,
3, 4 jobs, man.
yeah,
Your flight
yeah.
attendant, you are the stewardess, you the pilots.
Yeah, I'm learning. Started learning how to fly a plane, but I stopped. But yeah, I have a 90 pound bag downstairs and a speed bag as well. And yeah, and whenever I'm here in New York, I train on the
Uh-huh.
bag. But when I'm in Miami, I train with a coach. Here, I don't
Right.
train with a coach.
Okay. All right. See, that's how you keep young and fit. I love it. I love it.
That's
Now,
right.
I want to. I sent
And
you
I
some questions. I
started
want.
boxing. I'm gonna say this real quick story. Sorry,
Go ahead.
I started boxing because when I would go, this was years ago, when I was
Mm-hmm.
a SVP at a company in the Midwest.
Yeah.
I was the only woman. I was the first woman to be promoted and break the glass ceiling, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously the first Black person and all that. So it was just me and the fellas, and sometimes they would say things that were just inappropriate. They would repeat my comments, and I would never get credit for it.
Mm.
Just all kind of things would happen, and I just had to go and find a way to release my
Yeah.
tension, and boxing will really do that, and so that's why I started, and then I ended up realizing, wow, I love this, and my arms are fit, and it's good. It's just good. It's a mental thing too, not just a physical thing. So
Nah. With all that you've been through your life, what's one good lesson life has taught you?
ooh um I'd say in in life you will never get, or rarely will you get, what you deserve. You will get
Mm-hmm.
what you negotiate.
Mm.
So my mother would always say, Daphne, just pay attention, do your job, they'll notice and you'll get your promotion. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to go after what you want. You have to be clear on what you want. And if you're not clear, ask somebody. Don't ask your boss. Before you
Mm-hmm.
go into your boss, make sure you have gotten some guidance from those that are in your corner, from those other tigers that are with you. And so you've got to learn how to negotiate, and don't assume
Mm-hmm.
that you'll get what you have coming to you. You only get what you work for, and what you plan in your mind, what you envision is what you will get when you work towards it. I'd say that would be one. And if you're the smartest person in the room and you're in the wrong room, that would be the second thing I would
Mm.
say, because you should always find a way to level up. The second part of my book says, break through barriers and keep leveling up your success. When you're the
Yeah.
smartest person in the room, you're already there. So you got to look
Mm.
above being the smartest person, and say, where can I go where I can learn more, where I can
Nah.
be more, where I can do more, and I can achieve more. And that gets into that comfort zone, and knowing that my skin
Mm.
is too, it's comfortable. I need for my
Yeah.
skin to become too tight for me, right? So I can
Yeah.
grow. So those are the things that I would say life has taught me. Negotiate what you want, and
Mm.
and that's even with yourself. I want to lose 20 pounds. Well, nobody's going to do that for you. So it's not like you negotiate with somebody about that. Negotiate with yourself as
Mm-hmm.
well, and say, Daphne, you can do this, girl. How are you going to do it? Well, this is what you're going to do. You're going to vision yourself being 25 pounds smaller. You're going to design a
Mm-hmm.
plan for how you're going to get there, including going to your doctor to check on your health, including eating food differently, because
Mm-hmm.
it's really the food you eat, not how much you work out, that determines your weight loss. And then, of course, losing weight, building muscle mass, working out. And so then you design it, then you go for it. You go on Monday morning and start working out.
Mm-hmm.
You start eating differently. You start eating intermittent fasting, eating clean. You iterate on that and you keep going. Next thing you know, you've transformed into a person who's 25 pounds less than when you started. And so
Mhm.
that's how you do it. You negotiate even
Right.
with yourself.
I love that. I love that. Now, I'm thinking too, because since I got you on the line,
Yeah.
like a lot of the people who often listen to our podcast are looking at, probably breaking into starting their own business, or pivoting from a dead end career that wasn't going nowhere. They're not learning anything new, and they just want to win. They reignite their soul, their passion, their fire, whatever it is. Or they're a young person coming out trying this for the first time and wanting to start something. What would be your advice to that individual who's trying to start a business or a career, or what would you give them as advice, especially based on your experience as a CEO starting a tech company as a black woman? What's some advice you would give somebody that looked like you on how to get to where you got?
Well, first of all, stay in a mode of learning. When you get to become a CEO, when you understand business, and
Mm,
so make sure that you immerse yourself with whatever business you want to be in. So if you want to be the owner of a dating company, I don't know, I'm making this up, or if you want to be the owner of a technology company, learn all you can from the people around you, first of all.
mhm,
And I'm not saying that you learn, then you leave, but you learn and you follow and you document. This is how the CEO behaves every day. This is who he has on his team. He's got a marketing person, he's got a finance person, he's got an HR person, all the way, across.
mhm,
And you start looking at that and assessing and analyzing it. But you have to immerse yourself, and you've got to know a lot.
mhm.
You can't start up your own business at 23 years old and you haven't been anywhere and you haven't done
Yeah.
anything. So you first have to have some experience. I am the CEO of a board company who teaches people how to get ready to serve on public boards, paying
Mhm,
boards. So, I get paid
mhm.
for my 3 boards, and I teach people how to do that. Well, I had to be on a board in order to understand how
Yeah.
to get on a board. So, as an
Mhm,
example, you have to understand the service that you provide, understand that well, and then understand the infrastructure that you need to have below you to support you, right? So, when I
mhm,
say immerse yourself with the knowledge about the business of the business, right? In my case,
mhm.
um, uh, board readiness teaching, know the
Right.
business, but also understand what finance you need, what billing capability, HR capability, marketing skills. Has anybody heard of you? Will they hear of you? And all that. And then have a role model. You need a
Mhm.
mentor and or a sponsor who can help you navigate through the rough waters. You're not here by yourself or for yourself. None of us are. So I am here to help other people, as I mentioned, to get to where they need to get to faster. So I say the third thing is having, a role model. The fourth thing would be have a business plan and have an idea of what you want to accomplish. And again, it's back to edit and vision, what it is that you want to achieve and how are you going to go about it. So have a business plan, don't go in there blind, and then persevere, because life will
Mhm.
happen. I got cancer, and you'll read it in chapter 13 in my book, and that's a spoiler alert, I guess. And when I was in the middle of picking a publisher for my book,
Uh-huh.
and I had to say to myself, "Oh my God, do I quit the book? Do I stop? What do I do?" Because it's
Mhm.
easy to just stop when things go bad. When life happens, it's easy
Yeah.
to quit. And so the goal is, when life happens and you get feedback, don't take it personally, take it strategically, and use that feedback to put it back into your plan and keep going. Find additional
Mhm.
mentors. Find, maybe you're running out of money, get some grants. Find a way to win. Never quit. Always find a way to win. And then
Right.
celebrate your wins along the way, even if they're small. Realize that you made it from step one. Now you're at step 1.5.
Mhm.
You got to praise Almighty for that. And so
Yes.
celebrate, small wins. And I would say the last thing that's overcompassing that is the 5 F's, because I only focused on 5 F's: is your faith, your family, your finances, your fitness, And
Mm-hmm.
fitness is emotional and physical fitness and mental fitness and all that, and your family. I think I said it right for finances,
Yeah.
faith, family, finances, fitness, and your future career.
Mm-hmm.
Those 5 things. A lot of us only focus on the future career.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, they get out of shape. Their fitness goes to heck, right? They
Mm-hmm.
neglect their family. They never come home. They work 12 hours a day. They end up getting a divorce. They forgot who their God is, right? So their faith
Mm-hmm.
kind of suffers, and they don't have anything to turn to. And then sometimes they spend all their money, and you don't want to live longer than your money. You don't want to be somebody at 85 years old who's working at Walmart. And so, overshadowing all of those things that you look to do, make sure that your 5 F's are in
Mm-hmm.
place and that you're sacrificing the F that you feel can be sacrificed so that you can go after what you're searching. So those 5 F's are really
Yeah.
important. I got divorced once because I focused only on my career and I lost my
Mm.
family. And so then I realized that, well, that's not going to happen again. So 5 F's. These are all in my
Yeah,
book.
I love that. And I remember you telling me about the 5S before, and I was like, oh, what a brilliant concept. And I was just having a conversation a week ago with somebody about this, about what true wealth means. Like, a lot of people, when they think
Mm,
wealth, they only think of the money aspect, the finance, right? The
right.
finance and the future. But let's say if you don't take care of your fitness and your mental fitness, what good is all that money if you're spending it just trying to the keep your body and mind alive, right? Or if your mind is
Right.
messed up because your mental health is gone, you can't really make the best decisions about your finances. So, what good is the world or man's soul if the
That's
rest of
right.
this is not in
That's
order,
right.
right? If your house is
That's
not
right.
in order, so
That's right.
I love that you brought that to the forefront. Um,
Thank you.
all right, I'm trying to see how we're gonna wrap up here because I could do the Joe Rogan podcast, but that's not us. I mean, you could probably talk forever, but I'm not gonna do that to the people. So let's do these two to end us off. One, I want to pick your brain real quick on, when you look at the future of, because you're in tech right now and in the
Sure.
industry, especially for black women in this industry. What does that look like for you? I know I was on a panel the other day. I was helping with a panel with uh, some brilliant women, and we're talking about these CEOs and the women that are starting up businesses, especially in the tech industry, and how, like, out of all the venture capital that gets thrown or out there, that only, I think it was like less than 2% are,
2%, 1 or 2%. Hmm.
yeah, 1 or 2% are women owned or women led companies. And I'm like, how is that possible when, like, women are at the top, especially black women, are the most entrepreneurs and most educated with degrees out of any class of women? How is this possible? So when you look at the future, what does it look like for you when you think about um, this future in business and tech for women, especially black women?
I think it's going to slowly continue to evolve. I mean, when you have, like, for instance, for me, I am the only black on one of my boards, and I am one of 2 blacks on the other boards. And on all the boards where there's black people, it's all women. There's no black men. And
Mm,
so, but at one point, there was no black people on the board, right? So things
mm.
started with 0, then it got to 1, then it gets to 2. And I think that's just going to be how life will happen in business. That 2%, I imagine at one point was 1% and was
Mhm,
0%, a half percent. The problem is not the fact that it's happening, it's the rate of change and the pace of
mm,
change, and the trajectory is more like this, and we
mhm,
wish it were more like that. But
mm,
the reason why I serve on boards is to speak truth to power and to
mhm,
empower the underserved and the overlooked. And so when I say speak truth to power, when we are looking for another CEO or another board member, trust and believe, I am asking, where's the slate that's diverse? Where are the
mm,
other women
mm,
and black men and men of color, women of color that have the same skills as what you're looking for? So don't bring us a slate of people that look the same. I want to see a slate that's different. So when you have people like myself that serve on all of these boards, even venture capital boards. There are women on them, not as many as there are on regular public boards. But when you have that, I think you will continue to see the emphasis on not only having a gender conversation, but having a capabilities conversation, because
Mm.
that's really what it's about. It's about, can they do the job, and don't worry about what they look like or their last name. Worry
Yeah.
about what did they do for the last company and was it any good. And you'll
Mm.
find that when you have women in board positions, they will tend to be more thinking that way than when you get black women in those positions and black men on boards. They'll be doing that's how I think we somewhat changed that trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
But it is not great. I want the women in colleges to continue to focus on STEM. I want the women that are already in STEM, that work for IBM, that work at MIT, that work for McKinsey. They've got to do things that um, create like a network capability, where birds of a feather, so people can go in the room and say, oh, there's other black women like me that are doing STEM, not just, I'm not the only one. So when you create that
Mm-hmm.
sense of network and birds of a feather, um, then I think it's encouraging. And then you build that network. And they say, I forgot the saying, that the web of, I don't know, 100 spiders can stop a locomotive or something.
Wow.
The web of one spider can't do anything. But if you get a
Mm-hmm.
web of 100 or 1,000 spiders and it's all intertwined together, they can stop anything. Or in my case, what I'm talking about, we can start anything, we can be anything, we
Mm-hmm.
can go anywhere. And then you have the power of the collective to call on. So it's not an easy answer. I think AI is going to be just as commonplace as email. So you don't
Mm-hmm.
ask people if they know email when you're interviewing them for a job. You're not going to ask people if they know AI. AI is going to be something that we will use. It will become something that is just how we get life done in a faster
Mm-hmm.
way, to do more mundane things. It'll help with decision making. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and we're in the fourth industrial revolution right now. And that's all about connecting and cloud and AI and blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the fifth industrial revolution, I think you're going to find robotics and robots and humans kind of working a lot more together to get things done. Right now, it's all almost a competition. I think it'll be more collaboration between biology, the physical, and the digital will come
Mm-hmm.
together, I think, more collaboratively. So I'd say stay in
Love that.
STEM. If you're in technology, stay in it. Figure out what your specialty is. Is it cloud? Is it AI? Is it cybersecurity? Is it infrastructure? Is it programming?
Mm-hmm.
What is your specialty? But I would say don't stop. You're going to be able to be worth your weight in gold um,
I love
if you're
that.
in that field.
Right. Um, Daphne Jones, thank you so much for coming on today. Thank you for being our Harriet Tubman in the space, helping us to push and pull us to the wins, so that we can change and we can evolve. We can go to the best version of ourselves into the future. Before you go, um, tell us, what projects are you currently working on, and where can people find and connect with you?
Okay, let's start with the connection. You can find me on Instagram at Daphne Jones Official, Daphne Jones Official. Come on and follow
Mhm.
me. And I am not the typical businesswoman. I'm a businesswoman. I'm a fashion diva. I'm a pastor's wife. I'm a boxer. I'm a scuba diver. I'm a lot of things. So hopefully you'll
She
find
all things,
something
man. She all
that that
things.
that, that relates to you. My website is DaphneEJones.com. You can find me on LinkedIn as well, Daphne Jones. I'm working on just only really two things. It's getting this word out about WIN, that a lot of people of color, women, men, and just anybody who doesn't feel that they are good enough and they're worth it. My book is here to say, yes, you're worth it.
Mhm.
Einstein says that everybody is a genius. And if you
Mhm.
judge a fish by how well it can climb a tree, it will think it's stupid for the rest of its life. Fish don't climb
Mhm.
trees, but in some
Right.
cases, we got bosses evaluating us on what is not our strength. And so find your superpower. Everybody's got one. And so that's what my message is about. So that's why I'm working on Win. And I'm also working on my business, the Board Curators. I want to see more Black people, more people of color, more CIOs and HR people and marketing people in the boardroom as well.
Man. Daphne Jones, ladies and gentlemen, make sure y'all connect with her. And don't worry, if you're driving, I'm going to get all of her contact information, put it in the show notes, and we're going to be putting some clips out when this episode airs. Thank you once again, Daphne. We thank you. We salute you. We give you your flowers, queen, and keep doing what you do. And we're here to support any way possible.
Thank you. God bless you. God bless all of you.